It is clear that after 8 years, if you pick somebody in the government as your presidential candidate, I mean the party in government, after your 8 years, you pick somebody who is also part of the government, then you are not likely to succeed.
For a lot of election watchers and persons interested in local politics in Ghana, their eyes will be firmly glued to the two leading political parties in the country. I'm referring to the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party. This conversation is about one of those persons who are eyeing a high office in the incumbent NPP. My name is Etsey Atisu. Welcome to Election Desk on GhanaWeb TV. Our guest is a former member of parliament for Mampo in the Ashanti region, and he's had a lot of spells in engineering. Honorable, please welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for allowing us into your space. Yeah. So Francis Addai-Nimoh is one of the people who are eyeing the seat of flag bearer of the NPP. Honorable, how have things been? It's been some 2 weeks now since you announced your bid to run.
Or just a little over a week ago.
Okay.
Last week, Wednesday, the 1st of February.
Okay.
When I held a press conference to communicate with the press and through the press to the good people of Ghana and the world at large, announcing my intention to seek the leadership nomination of the New Patriotic Party.
All right. Just for the benefit of our viewers, I want to know who exactly is Francis Addai-Nimoh.
For Addai-Nimoh is basically born in 1965 and yet to be 58 years from Asante Mampong, where both parents of mine come from. I had my secondary education at Navrungo Secondary, now Navrungo Senior High School for 5 years for my O-level. And from there, I pursued my advanced level education, A-level. I don't know whether you went through that education system.
Not at all.
I'm sure you probably went through GHS and SHS.
I did.
So because of the educational reforms. And I went for A-level for 2 years at Kumasi High School.
Okay.
And then from there to Nkommo University of Science and Technology, where I pursued a first degree in civil engineering. And then I've been a member of the Ghana Institution of Engineers or Engineering. I'm a corporate member. In terms of education too, I hold my executive master's degree in public administration. I've also acquired knowledge and skills training from some international institutions, including international procurement knowledge from International Law Institute in Washington, project and programs management from REPA in the United Kingdom, road asset management from Swedish International Development Agency in Sweden. I've had the opportunity to be trained in emulsified bitumen, which is used for roadworks, for production, for application of that as a road construction material. And so in terms of working life, I've worked in both construction, road construction industry, and then road consulting firms. And then I've also worked with the Ministry of Roads and Highways before as a civil servant. So it was at the Ministry of Roads and Highways as a civil servant. Then I resigned in the year 2008 to contest for the first time to be a member of parliament for Mampong constituency. So I won the primaries in May 2008 and went on to win the general elections of 2008 and entered parliament on the 7th of January 2009. So for 2 terms, I served the good people of Mampong. Then 2014, I made my first attempt to seek the leadership nomination of the New Patriotic Party. Out of 7 contestants, I came in third in that contest. And then after that, we supported our candidate, then now sitting president, Nana Akufo-Addo, and the party won in the 2016 elections.
It appears you've done nearly everything, your political life and all of that. Now let's just come down to the main crux of the issues. Now you want back in the race. Why now?
Well, this is an ambition that was based on my personal conviction, and my first attempt was in 2014. And you know, in life, you make progress. And that ambition has not been truncated. So if the opportunity has come for 2023, the new patriotic party will search or look or elect a new person to lead the party for 2024 elections. Once I have not truncated my ambition, I need to put myself forward.
You believe it's the right time?
Well, the timing cannot be more than now. In any case, in 2014, I was 49 years when I made my first attempt.
Okay.
And in interacting with the rank and file of the party in 2014, they saw the potential in me, and some encouraged me that even in 2014, if I was not successful, I should consider that in the future, I will still have the opportunity to lead the party. So we move on.
Okay.
It's not a step by step. And so if this year, which will be a competitive elections to be run by the party, and let me let you know that after 2014, the party has not held any competitive presidential primaries because the sitting president won, and then 2020 he had to run unopposed on the ticket of the party. So almost 8 to 9 years now, we are now going to have another competitive elections in the party.
It's interesting you mentioned that because as you are well aware, there are a number of faces, names that have come up who are also interested in this same position. How well do you see yourself in terms of performance?
Well, how well would I see myself in terms of performance when
Because there are a
in
lot of
2014,
big names, actually.
big names do not win elections. Elections are won by your character, by your good self, endearing yourself to the electorate, articulating your vision, and they having the acceptability for you that you could be and you are able, qualified to be their leader. Not necessarily any name as such. And so, similarly, in 2014, when the 7 contestants that I was one of them, I was seen to be the underdog. I was seen to be somebody unknown in the political environment of our country. The other 6 contestants had all worked under J. Kufuor's administration, either as ministers of state or deputy ministers of state. And Addai-Nimoh had not been in that position before. But when we went through that process in 2014, I came in third, which was an enviable position that I secured for myself. And that shows the potential that the NPP delegate found in me and then encouraged me to make progress with this ambition. So currently, we are all expressing interest to seek the leadership nomination. The race itself has not begun.
Sure.
It will officially begin when the party opens nomination. And then one is able to pick the nomination form, complete it with all the supporting documents as it may be required by the party, together with the prescribed filing fee. Once you submit all these things, then you are in the race. And so for now, I'm sure you are also hearing names that may contest. But it could surprise you that at the opening of nomination, some of the names that you may have in mind may decline not to contest because conditions every day conditions are changing. Now I am championing the cause of a new phase for the party. Why do I say so? Since 1993, it has been an 8-year cycle between NPP and NDC. NDC had their first 8 years under Jerry Rawlings as their leader and president of the republic. In the year 2000, we had Professor Mills as a sitting vice president. He became the candidate for NDC, the presidential candidate. But he could not break the 8 because he was part of the government. He was in the government as a sitting vice president. So he couldn't break the 8. Then in 2008, under J. Kufuor-led administration of NPP government, the current president, Nana Addo, was a minister in J. Kufuor's administration. He also became the candidate, the presidential candidate for the NPP in 2008. He was part of J. Kufuor's administration at that time. He also could not break the 8. Then 2016, which is the latest one, you had Mr. John Dramani Mahama as a sitting president with NDC 8 years. His effort to break the 8, he couldn't make it.
So you're drawing all of these on a pattern?
Yes, of course. And that is clear. And it is clear that after 8 years, if you pick somebody in the government as your presidential candidate, I mean the party in government, after your 8 years, you pick somebody who is also part of the government, then you are not likely to succeed.
But be that as it may, the NPP seems like a very unpopular party right now.
Well,
don't you agree?
No, I do not agree with you. Maybe some people may be disgruntled. Some may be unhappy. Okay? The appeal may have declined, but it doesn't mean that it is unpopular. Okay?
You don't agree it's unpopular?
No, the party is made up of individuals. We are all party members. I'm a party member.
Okay.
And so our base as a party still remains. And usually it is what we call the undecided voters or the floating voters that we want to appeal to, because by your own base, you may not be able to secure the 50% plus one to win the general elections. Then you need to stretch your hands and appeal to the undecided voters or the floating voters. And so if one wants to make a claim that the party is unpopular, you may be dissatisfied with the character and behavior or performance of 1 or 2 or 3 people in government. But to make a general conclusion that the party is unpopular, I beg to disagree. Because it shouldn't be all the people in the party. It shouldn't be all party members whom that you or other people may be dissatisfied with. And that is why I say that it is not appropriate to describe that the party is unpopular. Maybe the behavior, the character, the performance of some personalities in the party at the moment may not be satisfactory.
Let's have a scorecard. Let's mark the NPP on a scale of 1 to 10. What would you put the party?
In terms of what? You know, if you want to score, you must have your criteria.
Maybe we can start from the economy. On the economy, score the NPP.
Well, I mean, it will not be prudent on my part to give a score from 0 to 10. Honestly, it will not be appropriate.
Maybe let's move away from the economy. How about on the delivery of promises?
But of course, we are experiencing difficult times in the economy. I agree. We are experiencing difficult times because of the level of indebtedness that we have, both external and domestic. And government is taking the steps to see how the economy can improve by the microeconomic indicators in terms of interest rate, inflation, the exchange rate, how we can achieve stability on all these macroeconomic indicators so that the happiness of citizens can be fully restored. Yes, we are experiencing these challenges. Now, government is dealing with the debt exchange program. We're talking about some haircuts here and there, So all this approach is intended to restore the confidence back into the economy and to stabilize the economy with all these indicators. And it is possible that it will take a year or a little over a year to see some signs of recovery. Okay, to see some signs of recovery. And I also believe that once government also prudently looks at the expenditure side of the budget equation and then be able to cut down on some expenditures that may not be necessary for government, it will also help to cushion the liquidity of the country for our ability to service our debt and still have sufficient funds for our investment project.
Let me hold you right there. When we return, I would take the conversation right from here. We are speaking to Honorable Francis Addai-Nimoh. We're still here with Honorable Francis Addai-Nimoh, who is seeking the nod of delegates of the NPP to become their flag bearer. Honorable, before we took those messages, you were actually talking about cutting down on expenditure, unnecessary expenditure. There's also the issue of the DDEP and all of that. What do you say about what's happening now? The government asking people to more or less enjoy all these haircuts and things like that, yet itself, as a government, is not taking a lot of the forefront doing these fairs. What do you say about that?
Etsey, there's a problem. And the problem is that our debt is not sustainable. We are using about 70% of our domestic revenue to service our debt. So how much is remaining to pay for compensation? How much is remaining to pay for other government services and statutory payments? Then how much will remain for you to undertake investment projects in terms of infrastructure, roads, schools, hospitals, and then even the ability to feed yourself. So currently we have a problem. I do not want us to focus our attention on what I will put in quote, Nahu Kosam. At this stage, where there's a problem, you look for a solution to the problem. Then when the solution is secured or is found, then we can come back home and ask ourselves, who is the causative agent or who caused that? And then once we identify who caused that, then we can say that we are prescribing this punishment for you. We have a debt on our neck. Our economy is in distress. It's in crisis. We are seeking $3 billion loan, concessionary loan from IMF. The IMF money is not going to be free. Because we are a member country of IMF, that is why we are getting it at that low interest rate. But it is repayable. But the IMF also wants to make sure that by extending that credit facility to Ghana, we have the ability to pay it back at the appropriate time. So they are saying that, look at the level of your debt. Do something about it. Let's see how the program you have to contain your debt, sustain it, be servicing it, whilst you take on board to our money, and still you'll be able to service that money at the appropriate time when it is due. The best thing in my view to do is to engage citizens. And I'll give, for the benefit of viewers and listeners, an incident, a situation that happened in Germany. At that time, we had West Germany, and East Germany. When the Berlin Wall was broken and the unification came, West Germany was more developed than East Germany. So there was this differential. Then the chancellor at that time came up and said, look, those from the West, the East guys are our brothers and sisters. We need to help to develop the East as well. So let every individual make a contribution for the development of the East German portion of the entire unified Germany. And by the engagement, the citizens of West Germany accepted that we are now one country. Let us help one another. And they all made contributions to support the work of the government. And today, if you go to Germany, the east portion or east side of Germany even has modern infrastructure more than the west part of Germany as at that time today. To relate it to our country, we have a problem. Let's look for the solution. What I will admonish the Akufo-Addo-led government is that they should engage people. They should put the figures down. I know pensioners who have invested their pensions in bonds are so dissatisfied and they said they will not participate in the debt exchange program. Because some say, you won't pay me until 10 years. Even my coupon, that should be paid maybe twice a year, you are also going to reduce the rate for me. And my principal will be in 10 years. By 10 years, will I be alive or not? These are genuine concerns that they have all expressed. But granted, we also have a problem. So the admonishment goes to government for government to put the figures down. This is the total number of pensioners who have invested their pensions in bonds. The total number is this. The quantum of their investment is so much. If we have to pay this, pay that, we are unable. The spreadsheet will indicate. And then the government can decide, let us perform some iteration. We vary this, we vary that, we vary that. Whilst you, government, you are doing that, check your expenditure side. Maybe the president can decide to issue a directive that henceforth, apart from the president, maybe the chief of staff and the executive secretary to the president, the speaker of parliament and the clerk of parliament, and then the chief justice and the judicial secretary and the vice president and his secretary, no government official should travel outside the country on board business class. Everybody traveling as a public official on government business, we should travel economy. No, that directive can be issued. If you're a minister of state and you are going outside the country on government business, why can't you also sit in economy class in the airplane? You know, it will also be it's part of cutting down the government expenditure. Maybe expenses on fuel. We should need to look at expenses on fuel. Can we reduce so that you encourage all public officials or appointees, government appointees, to use saloon cars whilst they are in what? In the capital city of Ghana and working. If they have to trek to other parts of the country, then they can have access to their cross-country vehicles, the V8, and then travel.
It's very clear
These things are things that administratively, it can be done.
Sure.
It can be done.
But these are things you can do.
Sure, absolutely.
Now
and
it's
they are
clear.
part of the things that I have in my mind. That is why last week when I announced my intention and within my speech, one of the areas I said was how we would improve on our public service delivery. And therefore, we will not go into the usual business of incremental budgeting. Now is the time for us to do budgeting from first principles. If a state institution, you have computers, laptops, or office equipment, or office furniture, and they are just a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they are still in good use, why would you want to continue to purchase those items again in the ensuing year? Because you have budgeted for those things? No. So we have to look at budgeting from first principles. And once we do all these things, administrative expenses can be lowered. Then it comes to public procurement. Procurement of contracts, especially the large value contracts, where you have to allow for competition. Because where there is competition, then you can be sure that you achieve quality and achieve value for money. Because all players in the game, everybody is now going to the drawing board to be very competitive in pricing, in all the proposals, the technical and the financial proposals that they will submit for the job that they have been asked to tender for.
Let me allow you to also get us into your bigger picture of what you want to do for the country. You've already painted a very gloomy situation of what it looks like now. What exactly is the message you'll be selling to Ghanaians? Okay. And then we can look at how much of the campaign is going on.
Actually, in my speech of last week, 1st February, which I will share copies with you, I outline 7-point policy development program for our country under my watch. My team, my good self, we have studied the situation and have developed the 7-point. There is an 8th point, but that one is reserved until I secure the nod, and then once we are into the competition, the campaign competition with our competitors next year, then I will share that 8th point.
So the 8 is the game changer?
Yeah, that is
what
going
is
to
tied to the breaking the 8?
Well, the breaking the 8 has 3 basic conditions that need to be satisfied. The unity within the party itself must be strengthened so that we maximize our efforts. Then the government performance is also key, to help the party to break the 8. And then the 3rd condition is the face who will lead the party to be able to break the 8. But on my 7-point policy development plan, the first one is on agriculture. And as a country, we should be able to feed ourselves. We should be able to provide our carbohydrate needs, our protein needs, and then our minerals and vitamin needs as a nation. And all these we can do. For carbohydrate, we know is the cereals, maize, millet, rice, name the rest of the cereals. We also know the protein, livestock, poultry, fish. We should be able to do all this to be able to feed ourselves. Then vegetables and fruits. So the policy is that no Ghanaian should go to bed, go to school, go to work hungry.
And we can do that on our own.
To achieve that, yes, we must look at agriculture and food sufficiency and security. So that is the first point. The second point, having eaten and you are satisfied as a human being, you are concerned with your education and your health. So the second and the third can be education and health, or health and education, because they are all social sectors of our economy. You need to develop, you need to go to school, and in terms of our education, technical, vocational, and skills training will be key under my watch.
I'm tempted to just ask a follow-up question just on this. We know how many times politicians have invested in education and health in particular, but it doesn't seem like the same politicians want to be part of that system. Their children don't school in the same schools. The politicians don't use those health facilities.
So we need to reverse it.
How do we do that?
If you come up with that policy, then you must believe in it. You must believe in it. And leadership is by example. Okay? So for now, we are pursuing free senior high school education, which in my opinion is very fantastic policy. So every child, right from kindergarten or nursery through kindergarten, through basic education, primary, JHS, you should end up at least at the senior high school level. And that is good. So it is for government to improve on the quality of the educational institutions so that all of us, I should find my children, provided I have children who are still young to go to school. And for in this particular case, I do not have. My kids have all completed tertiary institutions.
Okay.
But everybody should be encouraged. Because if you are introducing a system and you cannot participate, then it means you don't believe in it. You must believe in it, participate in it, because it's leadership by example.